Good evening, Mayor, Council. Joe Minicozy, President of Coalition of Asheville Neighborhoods. In August, we had a conversation and a discussion on Greenlife, and what was issued at that date, I think it was August 28th. 45 days would be a deadline for Greenlife to bring back plans for their conditional zoning application. That 45 days was ended, or was on the 12th, last Friday. And so I'm just bringing that matter forward. Also, I delivered a letter from the board, I think it was August 11th, that still hasn't been responded to, and I asked for all of that matter to be addressed in writing. And so we're just waiting on both of those, see what the next steps are.
Okay.
Thanks.
And just as a matter of information, not sure why we don't have a letter sent out from August. Can't really speak to that. I apologize for that, and we'll say that we'll get something out tomorrow because we do know that the architect is working on some things with Greenlife. I don't know if the architect would like to say anything, but we do know that plans are being drafted for that. And I personally have had one site visit or one meeting in person with Staples representative and one over the phone. And so that's moving forward as well. So we'll see why we can't get something in writing to address that.
Would that be a letter to Mr. Mancosi updating him on
the Greenlife and Staples issues that we have moved forward? And we will also include all the zoning amendments to the Unified Development Ordinance that we've done since this issue was brought to our attention, I think August of 2006 as well. Councilwoman Cape.
Mr. Jackson, what has your conversation with why haven't we received this within 45 days? Why haven't we, and we don't have what we're going to do if we didn't receive it within 45 days. So give us some feedback here about, this is in our notes.
The staff report is that it has not been received. The architectural firm of Glazer Architecture has been engaged. Staff was in contact with Mr. Swan today and was assured that the submittal is being prepared in earnest and would be forthcoming fairly soon. And so we'll be happy to submit that to the council in writing as well.
Ms. Glazer, do you want to speak to this matter since you happen to be sitting here?
If you would come to the mic if you're going to speak.
It's terrible when people know who you are, isn't it? Small town.
Small town. Sure. I'm Patty Glazer with Glazer Architecture, and we are working with Kearns Landscape Architecture. We're also site planners and all on the Greenlife issues, and the reality is the owner was slow to authorize the scope of work, and therefore it didn't start immediately, but that has been authorized. So,
how much longer do you think this will take before we'll see filed plans?
Not sure. I'm meeting with Hutch Kearns tomorrow morning, so we'll be, and I'm supposed to report back to the Greenlife folks. I'll be better prepared to answer that after tomorrow, but really until I meet with the rest of the team.
Could you, Mr. Jackson, could you follow up with Mr. Greenlife? I forget his name. Swan, Mr. Greenlife.
Mr. Swan, yes, we would be happy to. Following the council guidelines, in accordance with this, we would prepare a staff report based upon the conclusion of business on Friday, which means that it would be at the first meeting after October 23rd is when that would be scheduled for council consideration.
Okay. I'd say move it forward.
So we can't get it scheduled for the 23rd? Too soon? Okay.
Well, ma'am. Councilman Newman.
I'm disappointed.
I'm disappointed too.
Councilman Newman.
I think that, Mr. Jackson just articulated what is the next reasonable step. Let's communicate. Let's let them know this is coming back to council, and at least hopefully the plans will be filed before we have to deliberate it again.
Any other comments on this issue?
Mr. Minicosi shouldn't have had to come here tonight to flag this to our attention. And I wonder if it's appropriate for us to, we can't force the property owner to do anything but to ask for a routine report of where they are in the process, whether that be weekly or some other period of time.
Mayor, I'd like to respond to that. Mr. Minicozy wasn't, Mr. Jackson flagged this for us when we got here this evening. So it wasn't that we weren't aware of this. I'm glad to see we have citizens who are keeping the fire to the flame, but we were notified of this evening. I chose to speak about it just to make it public record about where we were going. But that was the first thing we heard about when we got here tonight.
We were flagged by email, and I think Mr. Minicozy here is here to, I assume, to assure that there's some action on this. Again, I don't think that's necessary, and I wonder if regular feedback would be one way to assure that we stay on top of our piece of this equation.
Well, I'll just say that from one member of council's perspective, I didn't know the letter hadn't gone out. I know that I've acted since then, and I acknowledge that had Mr. Minicozy had not come here tonight, a couple of those things I didn't know had occurred. So I'll publicly acknowledge that. Councilman Newman, I think you were about to say something again.
No,
I'm good. All right. Any other comments? All right, meeting adjourned.
Were there any other public comments?
You want to talk? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't see any other hands.